live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studio in Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Smokin Nicole.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tobacco Show. My name is Matt Tobacco from SmokinTabacco.com, and I am joined once again by my very good friend, Mr. Mitchell Santaga. And for the first time in a long time, we're bringing it back to the old school days, and we have none other than Mr. Jon Carney with us, live from Winter Park, Florida. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, Matt and John?
Fantastic. Going really nice.
Like John's lighting up something nice there.
Yeah, so right before the show, we were talking about what we were going to smoke. Matt's, I'm sure we're going to get into this in a little bit, but I changed up what I'm smoking because I do have the same thing Mitchell's smoking, which I'm going to smoke second. But I'm smoking a special football edition. It just came in to my house today, and I take some pictures. So because I only needed to take a picture of one box and one cigar, I set myself 5 boxes. So I'm now going to slowly work through them. But yeah, a special football edition for Glendale, Arizona. It'll be hitting retailers Friday. And
Nice.
it'll be
That
on
looks really
websites
nice.
and whatnot there. Yeah, it's a Perfecto, essentially. It's the same size and shape as our Perfecto Habano that we came out with in like the mid 2000s. So we've done a cigar in this series in the same shape, but it was reversed. It was Maduro wrapper with natural accents. So this is natural wrapper with Maduro accents, and it's quite spicy right off the top. So we got a little spicier. So I'll let you know how it is as we get through it. But it's good to be back. So I thought I'd bring something special, and I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit of football tonight and whatnot. So here we are.
Yeah, if you while we're on the topic of what we're smoking, let's get down to business. Let's talk about retailers. Let's talk about the retailer that supports us the most. That's 2guyscigars.com. That's right. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. If you head over to 2guyscigars.com today, you can check out an amazing, beautiful, wide selection of cigars, brands, and everything that you need from the industry. They do carry La Flor Dominicana. They don't carry that football edition cigar. I don't think they have any more of what I'm smoking. I'm smoking the LFD 2021 TAA Natural. And I don't think they carry what Mitchell's smoking, but Mitchell's also smoking an LFD. Right over there, Mitchell, what do you got? The Cameroon cabinet? There you go.
LFD Cameroon Cabinet Torpedo.
Great cigar. But you can find all other LFD cigars on that website, and that's once again at the number 2, guyscigars.com. And tonight I'm going to cut and light my cigar with Cigar Blondie accessories, featuring the signature sleek flat blade flame lighter and the ever so sturdy and solid double guillotine cutter, only from Cigar Blondie accessories. Head over to cigarblondie.com today to order yours now. Available in 3 beautiful finishes: chrome, white, and black. Well, gentlemen, how's everyone been? Carney, let's start with you, because Mitchell, you've been on with us a couple of times now, so you're getting to be kind of a regular. But Carney, we haven't seen you on the show in months. So what is new with Jon Carney?
Oh man! So the last month, I've been sick. So if you hear me coughing, I'm just getting over a cold, and you name it, I've had it. So I from the last time I saw you, Matt, which was right before Christmas, the week of Christmas actually, I think we both had COVID during that period of time. So I've been sick since then, and I'm just slowly getting back to normal. So the last like 6 weeks has been a mess, but I have been. This is probably not the wisest thing, but I'm not a medical professional or anything like that. But it doesn't seem to be. You know, I've been around other people that have been sick for the same amount of time that don't smoke cigars. But I have been enjoying cigars. I've taken just a few days off, so I have been enjoying that in the same time. So at least I've had a chance to smoke over the holidays and get the year started well. But that's really what I've been up to. The end of the year was huge for us at LFD. It was our best year ever, and we're already primed up, you know, for this year with a bunch of new products coming, the return of several items. But right now it's a waiting game at the end of the year for a lot of these factories, because these factories that are set up like we are, so we're unique. So if anybody's listening that is not familiar with us outside of what the brand is itself, we own our own farms, factories, distribution, and everything. So all of our cigars stay at our factory essentially until we ship them up and they're ready to go. And at the end of the year, you pay like a inventory tax on what you have remaining. So we try to empty out as best we can at the end of the year. However, these factories close for 2 to 3 weeks over the holidays too. So our first shipment doesn't generally come in until the end of January, which just came in yesterday. And you figure you've been closed for a month. So you're kind of playing catch up for the first quarter of the year. I said, especially with companies of our size. So it's been kind of a slow 2 weeks, but it's picking up now.
Yeah, last time I saw you was back in Connecticut. We were at Penthouse Cigar Lounge. We did gourmet smoke sessions together. Shout out to those guys down there. Awesome hospitality. If you're in that area, if you're in the Hartford area and you're an LFD smoker, that is definitely the place to be. Amazing shop. We had a great time. Cooked some great food. But other than that, I hadn't really done a lot with you outside of that. It's been
Yeah, the end of that last few months of the year for me, really the last quarter, September, October, and November was packed with events. I did like 15 events in a period of like 2.5 months, and like 8 or 9 of them were gourmet smoke sessions. And then the holidays popped up, and then I had one last trip that I did to Colorado at the end of the year, and then that trip to Connecticut. And as I said, after that, it's kind of been dealing with what's been going around. And as I said, everybody's got something right now, and it doesn't help having a 15-month-old daughter because she brings home every single thing in the planet. I thought my immune system was real special with the amount of travel I do, until I met my match with a toddler. So I think I think we're coming through it there, but it's brutal, man. Like those kids.
I know the struggle. I'm lucky. I have a little toddler too, but she doesn't go to daycare. But we just went to a birthday party over the weekend. Pretty much like anytime you have more than like 6 kids in a room, they're bound to just someone's gonna be sick, right? And she's at home with the sniffles right now, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky I was able to sneak out for a few hours here.
Yeah, but no, it's been excellent, and I've been following all the Cigar of the Year stuff with you all. Obviously, I'm still keeping up on Smokin Tabacco, but now that the move's been made to Wednesdays, I may be around a little bit more. I know this is a point of discussion that we've had over the last couple of years. Thursdays are always the toughest day of the week for me because of events. It's the biggest event night for everybody. Everybody wants to do a Thursday because it's kind of like a weekend night, but again, at the same time, it's not a weekend night because Fridays and Saturdays at most cigar spots are generally their busiest nights. And, I think a lot of the retail outlets are trying to do functions on their non-busy nights, and Thursday becomes the one that's the kind of an extra weekend day when you're doing something special. So I'm super tied up on Thursdays. What Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays are good. So I was happy when I got the message that Wednesday night I started seeing the calendar invites for the guests, and I'm like, it's Wednesday. I go, I think I'm going to be able to be on here a little bit more and mix it up with some of the guests like I used to.
For sure.
well
Be good to have you back, man.
Now that you're on the show, in addition to that, as I'm sure you're probably already aware, some of your friends, our friends from the LFD Discord chat are in the show tonight. So
I see them on there. I haven't been in the Discord as much
me either.
The last few months either. I've been running, dude. The amount of preparation that goes on at the end of the year to get ready for the next year, even though you're kind of planned multiple years ahead of time, even when you think you're ahead, it's just crazy. And as I said, in the cigar business, you're planning all this stuff, and then there's like a 3-week pause where the lifeblood of your company is just closed. So like the factory, when that closes for a few weeks, it's kind of a lull, but everything just gets backed up for 3 weeks because there's really no answers. Because wait, we just got to wait until here, we just got to wait until that. So the way things pile up, and then as you're planning, everybody else is planning that you do business with, so that piles up too. So it's crazy how the end of the year does slow down, but then it really just picks up almost immediately after, and you get pulled in all sorts of different directions. So it's really it's really been tiring, and I said I'm happy that I'm just starting to feel better, because that has been really irritating. I said I don't think there's anywhere on the planet right now that everyone I've run into has either been just sick, currently sick, or sick for the 20th time in the last week or two. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, even up here in Canada, it's like that right now, man. I'm like, so everybody's sick. Everyone I work with, every day there's someone home sick.
Mm-hmm. So I
It's crazy.
decided really, I'm gonna smoke, I'm gonna drink, and if I got to take a day off to catch back up, I will. But I said I haven't slowed down. I have not slowed down. So anyone that's out there, don't try to be a hero like me, but fight through it and enjoy a cigar.
Well, as everyone says in the chat, you're looking good for being sick for a month. I always, even in the chats, I always ask this. What's on your feet there? You got a croc check going?
I do. So I got a new pair. These were some people may have seen these. I got a new pair of hibiscus Crocs.
Oh yeah, the Hawaiian hibiscus.
Yep. So my wife and I went on our honeymoon about a year and a half after we were married, and it was the first time we get a chance our daughter was really old enough to leave her with her grandmother, and we coincidentally happened to be staying at a hotel right on Waikiki Beach. It was right across from the Croc store, so it was meant to be. I did take a picture and post it on Instagram where I'm flexing with the purchase, but I don't think I put the Crocs on it. But yeah, I got a pair of white hibiscus Crocs. They're excellent, and I got a new pair coming for my birthday next month. It's a pair of Mickey Mouse red, white, and blue.
Oh, Paul DeGracco will love those.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Paul DeGracco. I think other than John, I think he's the biggest Disney fan I know outside of Carney and his wife.
Paul's a freak when it comes to Disney stuff. He takes it a little bit too crazy.
You could just say Paul's a freak.
Nah, yeah, true. But if you're watching Paul, you're a super
I'm just kidding.
freak.
Yeah. You're the man, Paul.
But he takes it to another level. I'm a huge Disney person. Don't get me wrong. I worked there for 3 years, and I know a lot about it, and I do like it. But there's certain things I don't like about Disney, and reasons why I don't go. Now I love when we go to like eat. We go to see some stuff. We go on a few. Actually, I like going to the shows because they're usually not packed up, like the rides. But I refuse to wait in lines. Like I hate that. And even with the Genie Plus thing, I refuse to figure that out. So I hate it. So like I'll go and eat. I'll go drink. I'll go watch some shows with my daughter and my wife. But other than that, I'm not waiting in line. I'm not dealing with that stuff. Paul goes, and it's like I feel like he's excited to go stand in line, and like it's a badge of honor that he's stuck in line. And I just feel like an idiot standing there, for freaking 2 hours for a 2.5-minute ride.
I think he just gets pleasure from the aura of being inside Disney. You know what I mean? He could literally be sitting on a bench and he would be having fun. So the fact that he's in line to go on a ride, it's even better for him. So that's the secret, is literally be excited just to be in there.
The biggest change for me though, Matt, I'll tell you, is the last, because when was the last time I was even on the show?
Last
as
summer,
a guest
maybe?
Or,
months.
Yeah, that was probably when I was a guest. It's kind of funny because being on the show when I was on it more often,
It was the NFT show, right?
Yes, that was it. Yeah,
Might have been,
it was summer. Yeah, it was only summer. So the more I was on the show, the more you talk about, we talk about different cigars, we talk about different things going on in the industry. I have a good feel of what's going on with the industry politically, business-wise, and things like that. But brands, I feel so out of touch with certain things. Like I don't feel like I've got like the inside pull on things. I've even saw some brands and things that popped up recently that I hadn't even heard of that are, I guess are doing well and are popular. So I kind of feel bad missing the news and not being part of that. So I'm excited mainly to be back a little more frequently, so I can feel like I'm a little more in touch.
Talking about cigars, I just looked at my ash and realized, like, holy cow, I'm ripping through this thing.
Wow. Someone's excited.
It is really good. This is really good. I love Cameroon, so right up my alley. But look at that, nice white ash.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm a huge Cameroon fan too.
I'm ripping through this thing. This is really tasty.
Got a good half inch going there.
So this calmed down on the spice quick. So what makes me think is the quick spice is right from the wrapper at the beginning. So the little accent at the bottom You see how they're right on the tip.
Yeah.
So if you were to use like reverse taper technology on this, you would be puffing on that tip. Yep. But I think that's probably where the spice comes from.
You know what had a lot of spice that I smoked the other night? I texted you and I was smoking the Airbender Lancero, which is really good, but it had a lot more spice than I remember. And I was like, wow, I was really digging it.
Well, that's going to be, I mean, really, when you smoke a Lancero, it should be a little more aggressive flavor profile anyway.
Yeah.
And truly, that Airbender blend is not, if you take all the cigars in the world and put them together, Airbender wouldn't be right in the middle in terms of strength. For us, it's right in the middle of our strength profile. But if you take it to another level and make it a little hot, you know, if you take it to another level and compare it to other cigars, it is a little fuller, more fuller bodied. So if you think about it, it's going to naturally be a little more spicy just because it is fuller bodied tobacco, even though we consider it medium. But I haven't smoked an Airbender Lancero forever, dude. Did you smoke that out of one of the Lancero packs?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I only have like 2 cigars left. Because I had 2 packs. I had like 2 or 3 packs, and I'm down to like the last pack. They were great. I love those. It's fantastic. I think Carney's trying to get cut. Carney's trying to get
someone in the comments mentioned the Soli.
Yeah, I'm trying to get caught up on some of the comments.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Carney's reading the comments.
Oh yeah, so Soli just came out. So Soli came out at the end of December, and so our social media today on Instagram, we post that it's available in retailers across the country. It is available in retailers across the country because it is spread out, but it's not hit more than about probably 20% of retailers. We sold several thousand boxes, and the first shipment that came in was about 600 to 700 boxes. We wanted to get it out before the end of the year and at least have it in the market. So we started aggressively with Florida, and then at the beginning of the year, we shipped a few different other markets around to spread it out slightly. So if you're looking for Soli and you haven't found it yet, and you saw our post, and I did have some people message me today because it's posted up. It's like, oh, it says it's available. Why can't I have it? Or why? And honestly, retailers, why don't I have it yet? Whenever I see a post or something goes up like that, I'm involved in that. But when it goes up, I'm like, the first thing that's going to happen is I know how many retail outlets it's in. I'm like, so if one goes up and I didn't get a chance to say anything, I'm like, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get like 100 emails or a bunch of phone calls and text messages of where's this, what's going on. And people are understanding about it. But so if you are waiting and you are watching, you'll start to see it within the next 3 to 4 weeks with a little bit more expanded launch. So that is slow. It seems to be quite successful so far. Everyone that I've heard smoke it really enjoyed the cigar itself. It's a dynamic blend with essentially it's using 2 tobaccos. One is the wrapper and one is the binder that are traditionally only wrapper tobaccos, especially for us. So you've got Habano wrapper from Ecuador, and then an Ecuador Sumatra wrapper grading, essentially graded leaf for the binder. So it's got a really unique flavor profile. It isn't really like anything else we have, but I think the thing that's really stood out about it, on top of the blend itself, is that packaging, man. The way it looks, the color scheme, photographs incredible. The bands look great. The packaging looks really slick. And whenever you encompass something that's a very good product, and we'll see how it does long term. I anticipate it's going to do great. But whenever you encompass something like that also has great packaging, it tends to get a lot of attention. One of the things, different price point. But I look at like the Byron and Atabase; those are really nice cigars, and the packaging's real flashy. Photographs nice, very elegant.
Right.
And the Solis are really, a different, same type of concept, different look, but it's just real flashy when you take a picture of it. And I said on every Instagram picture, even without a filter, looks nice.
It's kind of like got this like retro modern look to it. Like the Soli font is nice and retro, colors are nice and modern though. It definitely looks really nice. And wasn't that like Lito Jr.'s project? Like he was the one kind of spearheading it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a project that he worked on for. I've been testing cigars with him on this for, I'd say, probably 3 years at least, maybe 4 years of any time he'd been down there. He's kind of slowly trying different things, and yeah, so it was the first project that he worked on, and it's a project that he did with his brother. His brother did the artwork and obviously worked with them both on the cigar itself. And you know, and whenever you have it's, you know, it's like cooking good food. Like you can make great food if you start with great ingredients. So he had a lot of great ingredients to work with, but then you still have to know how to put it together and figure that out. And he did a phenomenal job with it, and I think it's just going to be an all-around huge success. I think it might have been out a little sooner if COVID and things wouldn't have happened, because that really, you know, that set us back several years in terms of projects. For example, like this year in 2023, we have our Lido Gomez line, which is Dominican Puro, wrapper, binder, filler, all from our farm. Vintage, you know, aged tobaccos that are a minimum of 4 years old. That line used to come out every single year, and it hasn't been out now since 2015, which is 8 years, and it's going to be coming back this year. I mean, so you look at some of those projects, it's fun to watch some of these things that I know we've been working on internally, and to see them actually finally hitting the market. You know, I looked at like the top 25 lists and things this year. Obviously the Cameroon cabinet, not the Cameroon cabinet. We had the Cigar Aficionado was the Oro Chisel.
Who?
The Oro Chisel.
No, whose list?
Cigar Aficionado.
Who?
The list that you guys all bitch about, but everybody still freaking looks at it. So, you know, so that was an existing line that we've already had. Really, if you looked at last year, we did have the Oro TAA 50th anniversary chisel, which was the Smokin Tabacco. I think you were one of the only ones, and it's because of our relationship, but I talked to a lot of people, like, you guys didn't come out with anything new in the last 2 years, and I'm like, we did. I go, we came out with the TAA chisel. I go, and that came out and that released, and just because the date on it was different, didn't mean that it wasn't out in that time. So I said I looked at these lists, and as you took everything across the board, and I was like, well, it's kind of, we still had our best year ever. I'm not upset about it, but I was like, you know, really a lot of the recognition on these lists is what's new, what just came out, what came out in this period of time. Some of the stuff gets lost in the mix. And I'm like, you know what? I go, 2023 is going to be a huge year for us. And it'll be kind of a reverse face. But even though we did still have some new projects out.
So I just want to clarify something. When it comes to the TAA 2021 being on our list, the one thing I will say is I think there's a lot of people out there who don't include TAA releases specifically on lists.
I was going to say that.
That's part that not everyone, but that's part of it. The other part of it is, I think for some reason it did get lost in the shuffle because I think people didn't realize exactly when it shipped, and they saw the 2021 ban and they went, no, that's last year. This cigar didn't ship until this year, right? Didn't this not go out until like February or January of this year?
It shipped out. It shipped out in January of 22.
So by my rules, this was eligible
Mm-hmm.
for the 2022 list, and we smoked it, and we really liked it, and so we had it on the list. Now, of course, there's a lot of people who don't include TAAs, so it gets disqualified there, and then I think everyone else, I don't know, maybe they didn't realize that they went out, but the way I look at it is, small store releases and stuff like that are not eligible for the list. Single store releases, shit like that. The Firecrackers with United, for example, are eligible because they get a nationwide release. TAA cigars, while there's not a lot of TAA retailers are nationwide. So it does go out nationwide. They are accessible. So I include them on the list because I feel that they're accessible.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And once you take the TAA members and the number of stores they have, there's nearly 200 retail outlets. And I'm not questioning people's lists because what someone's list is what their list is, right? You know, what my favorite cigars are, what I enjoyed the most this year. Coincidentally, my list for this year was very similar. When you sent me over the list before, like right before you did the show on it, I looked at it and I was like, dude, that's like, you're dialed in on like what I enjoyed, especially your top 5, for sure. And so there's a lot of, but then I do see some cigars that pop up and I'm like, they're in less stores than the TAA exclusive series are. And I get that as a classification, it should be, even if though it's in those, it's not necessarily available outside of it, so whatnot. But I still do see some stuff pop up on some of these lists where I'm like, I'm like, man, that's in less places. Glad you smoked it. Glad you enjoy it. And I don't necessarily believe that needs to be a qualification to it's how many stores you're in or what it is. I mean, a great cigar should be a great cigar no matter what the circumstances are around it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, why any cigar in the world should qualify for it. And I get you have to have qualifications. And you may have systems that you use to plan it. But, the system I would use is, did I smoke it? Was I able to buy it? And then that can maybe be on my list. So we go from there. Now, Steve's got a question. What is the best-selling LFD cigar 2022? The same cigar it's been for the last 16 years. It's the Double Ligero 700 Maduro.
It's a good cigar. I really enjoyed the Double Ligero.
Is the so the DL 700 Maduro I know is number 1. What's number 2?
DL 700 Natural.
Really?
Oh wow.
The natural. Okay.
Yeah.
So both the DL 700s are really 1 and 2.
Yeah, and then you would put Andalusian Bull, even though it's a limited production where we limit what's made each month to maintain the quality and consistency as best as possible, batch to batch, year to year. That would land in like the number 3 spot, and then after that you got the Digger Maduro and the Digger Natural.
I was gonna say I know the Diggers were up there
king,
too because the Diggers are really popular.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't smoke a ton of Double Ligero anymore. So I got a young guy down the street here at Cigars on the Avenue, which is down the street from my house, and he's a newer cigar smoker. So I started him on our Reserve Especial line because he liked the Bulls. And then I got him on the Cameroon cabinets because I personally like them. And so then he did like an LFD week when I was gone, and he smoked through the whole line. And I was like, "What was your favorite cigar?" And he's like, "Man," I got to tell you, he goes, "That Double Ligero 700 Maduro." And I looked at him and I was like, "Oh my God." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Man," I go, that's our number 1 selling SKU. I go, when people that smoke it religiously smoke it. I go, so I'm like, don't get too used to it because the people that come here to buy it are going to be mad if you're smoking it and they can't get it. But it is nothing else like it. Every time I jump back to a 700, specifically the Maduro, I light it up and I'm like, this is what puts food on my table. Because there is no other cigar like it. Love or hate it, that's our crown jewel. There's just no other cigar like Double Ligero. There's similar ring gauges, sizes, country of origins, and blends that use the same country of origin. But there's not another cigar that tastes like that, period. Which is a great thing to have, and it is a very good cigar, even though I don't smoke it quite that often.
The one of my favorites is the Colorado Oscuro. Which
yeah.
What size
of that do you like? So the number 2 is the small, the Petit Robusto. The number 3 is technically a Robusto size. The 4 is like a short Toro, but it's a little bit thicker. It's 54 ring gauge.
I think it's the 4. I think it's the 4. Yeah.
I enjoy the 4 the best in that as well. My second favorite size is the 5, shockingly, the 60 ring gauge. Then I enjoy the Robusto and the Petit Robusto, which I believe is actually overall in any of people that have rated has been the highest rated across the board for us. It's a really complex size. It's just, for me, it's strong. It's got a lot of spice to it. Something that small that's got that much spice is the way I smoke is quick, is a little bit too much strength for me in terms of flavor profile. It just kind of overdoes it because I smoke too quick. So the 2 for me, because of my own way of enjoying cigars, is a little bit aggressive. But if you're looking for something full of flavor, that little guy is definitely a beast.
The other cigar I wanted to mention was the that is a favorite of mine. And look, and I know the Discord guys are here, so they got this thing about larger size formats. So I'm not trying to feed into that, but what I will say is, at LFD's portfolio, you guys do make a lot of larger formats, like El Grenu. There's another one that I really enjoy, which I didn't know about that until me and you went to a shop one time, and they happened to have them in stock, and I was like, what's this giant box of LFD? And you were like, you haven't seen these? And they're awesome, and I believe is it 5 by 60? What's the size of it?
No, it's It's 6x60.
It's a 6 by
And,
60. Okay.
Yeah, it's like 5 7/8. It's essentially 6x60. And yeah, it's excellent. It comes in these 100-count boxes, and the price point on it's like $10.50. And it's one of our top 10 selling SKUs. And it's funny because when it first came out, this thing comes in like an 11 by an 11 square. Okay,
It's like a
So
big
it's got-
chest.
yeah, it's got 10 rows of 10.
Yeah.
So it's 10 by 10. So it first came out, and people were like, wow, this is ridiculous. I have nowhere to put this on the shelf. And we're like, okay, fine. So it became our 5th best selling SKU the same year that we released it, and it was only in about 35 to 40% of our retailers. And those retailers that had it loved it because they could get it regularly because we were making like 600-700 boxes a month. Okay.
Yeah.
So then it started taking off and became something when people asked the next year, well, what were your top sellers this year when you talk to your retailers about what moved well? And they're like, oh, this El Granado. Like, really? So then we had another, I'd say 10% added it. And it's been out now probably 7 years, 8 years. But to go into the shop, like, I have nowhere to put this. So the way the box is set up, you can display it standing up with the whole front open, closed. You can set it on its side, and so the cigars are standing up. So it fits in a 10 by 10 space, which coincidentally is the same space that 2 boxes of Diggers fit in, which are 8.5 by 60, and there's only 40 cigars. Not only that, if you take, like, for example, I don't know what it is, but Nick Perdomo's got this measurement thing, right? So it's like every box is 6 inches. So 6 inches, 6 inches, that's 12. So right there, that's 12 inches, and you got 20 cigars, right? So in less space and less square footage, you can fit more cigars than any other product in the entire business. There's still nothing out there like that today. I used Rocky Patel Edge as an example. That's a long box, got 100 cigars in it. It takes up like 3 feet. And I'm like, if you got a space to put this, you have a space to put that. And you can't afford not to do this because it pays for itself in that square footage. I go, you can't sell 100 cigars in that much space anywhere in your store. And then it kind of caught on with that, and people really started grasping it. And then obviously COVID came along, and we didn't have freaking boxes, so we had to start putting them in bundles. So that kind of made it challenging.
I know that there's a lot of LFD fans watching the show tonight, and I just want to say, if you are a real LFD fan and you really want to flex, you buy that entire box of El Granado, 100 count. You want to be an LFD guy, and you want to brag about how much you're an LFD guy. Stop talking about Discord exclusives and all this. Go down to your retailer who sells LFD and say, I would like you. If they don't have it, tell them to call John or Amy at the office, whoever the contact person is at LFD. Say, I would like to order the cabinet, the El Granado, 100 count. I want the whole thing. That's how you flex that you're an LFD smoker.
It's a huge flex, and by the way, it happens, and when it does, it's hilarious because they're pretty nonchalant about it. Usually, when the person's buying it, it's like, oh, hey, how much are these cigars? And I'll be, like, oh, they're $10, and I'm like, oh, interesting, but they're looking at it and they see that it's in the box. I'm like, well, how much? How many cigars are in a box? I'm like, oh, 100. And they're like, oh, interesting. And they'll be really, it's every time somebody's wanting to buy it, they're very nonchalant. And they'll be like, okay, I'll take a box. And I'm like, oh, it's 100 count. They're like, yeah, that's no problem. And and they grab the thing and set up on the counter. And there's usually 4 or 5 other people around being like, what the heck just went down?
Who is this guy and what does he do for work?
I know, right?
Well, if you think about it, if you went into a retailer during an event and bought 100 cigars, you're going to get taken care of pretty well. Most likely, they're going to give you a deal, 10% off or more. Who knows?
Or more, yeah.
And then probably if you're there, not just with LFD, we don't go crazy with giving away swag and cigars, but if you walked in and bought 100 cigars from me, I'm going to be like, okay, you know what? There you go. I got some stuff hanging around, and I always tell people, like, what's the deal today? I go, the more you buy, the more we can negotiate. So if you drop an El Granado in front of me, that's a pretty aggressive negotiation.
Oh yeah.
So if someone came in and was like, I'm gonna buy a box of El Granado, will you throw in a box of Bulls? Would you do it?
I'd give them, if they.
Or is that too aggressive?
I would let them. No. If they bought 100 cigars, I'd give them. I would allow them to buy as many boxes of Bulls as they wanted.
Ah, okay.
that were available. Yeah, they could buy them.
Okay, they can still buy them. Just tack it on. We have. Sorry, I'm also getting caught up on these comments too because they're
That's
they're
like
wild.
dealer's choice out here, right?
I know. I will buy 200 Discord exclusive right now. So can we just settle this for now? Are there any plans to do a Discord exclusive or no?
Yes, we're gonna do something fun, and we're gonna do a little party.
Oh,
And,
dang.
Oh shit!
yeah, we're gonna do. I don't know who's gonna be there. I know specifically I will, but we picked the destination.
Hashtag
We're
teaser
gonna do
free.
it somewhere. Well, yeah, I think we're gonna. We've talked about it on the Discord too, so it's been somewhat publicly, but I think we've settled it down. We're gonna be probably doing something in Arizona. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but we are gonna do something fun with it. The guys have been hilarious and have been a great time, and we're not just talking about it to fillet them. It's something we're going to do for fun. And as I said, we got some retail partners out where the kind of the leaders of the group are from. So we got some planned, and I don't exactly know when I'm going to fit it into the schedule, but we are going to do something, and it'll be a good time, and we'll have a blast with it.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
better be a chunky, thick boy.
Oh, luckily we do big ring gauge, so we'll have no issues with that. But it'll just be fun. It'll be honestly be fun to hang out with them. They really did bring a lot of excitement for the last 6-7 months, and it was fun to. It's been fun to have a group like that that's involved in what we're doing. So yeah, no, we're gonna throw them a big thick bone.
Oh yeah, it's all about community. And like
Guys heard it here first.
Even with your bigger ring gauges, you tend to throw some form of shaped head on it, which just helps so much, right? Like this isn't a really thick cigar, but even with that, just a couple of ring gauges less with the torpedo kind of head on it.
Yeah.
And it just helps the smoking experience. Like it's one of my biggest gripes with like 56 plus cigars is like, just like having that thing in your mouth is just hurts the jaw.
The chapter 1 and the chapter 2 chisels, I'm not a huge torpedo smoker, and I'm also not a massive chisel smoker. I'm just not naturally drawn to that. I do love them, do not get me wrong at all. It's just not, if I had 10 cigars in front of me and 9 of them were 9 of them were chisels and there was one regular size of all this, different blends, I'd grab the regular shape personally. However, that chisel shape in the big ring gauge, like you're saying, the 56, which is the 58, which is the chapter 1 and chapter 2 size, is excellent. It really does impact how that bigger ring gauge sits in your mouth and the enjoyment of it, and on the draw. The bigger ring gauges than that have been performed, really, really well.
So I just want to point out, Paul DeGracco is now here with us. He's watching live from Las Vegas. Is that Carney? Yeah, it is Carney, and it's funny because he missed out. We just talked about him like 20 minutes ago.
We said his name 3 times, so he did show up. And,
it's true. Beetlejuice rules.
We were talking about with Disney. I did call you a freak and a super freak. And,
wow, Paul, you gonna let him do you dirty like that?
Yeah. Well, Paul, just to let you know, I'm going to. You're going to be jealous. I'm going to Topolino's tomorrow at the Riviera. Not tomorrow. Yeah, I keep thinking today's Thursday because I'm on the show.
Yeah.
All day, dude. All day. Even my sales reps. I plan my day around the end of the day today. And I'm like, all day people ask me. They're like, oh, hey, what's going on with this? I'm like, oh, it'll be tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow. And that's Friday. But tomorrow's not Friday. Tomorrow's Thursday. So, Paul, I'll be at Topolino's at Riviera on Saturday. And then I'm doing California Grill for Valentine's Day. So be jealous, Paul.
He said, I've been there for breakfast.
I haven't done breakfast at Topolino's. I've heard it's phenomenal. They do a character breakfast there, I believe.
Well, I just wanted to point that out because I saw Paul was here now. He's with us on the show. Before I get into the news, I wanted to check in with the NFT. It's the one thing I don't think we've talked about. Now that the NFTs, the cigars have been released to all their owners, correct? All the pieces, the humidors, the art, the cigars, it's all been sent out to everybody, right?
Yes, the first shipment of the golden bullion humidors went out in October, and then the first shipment of the of their allotments. That now they don't have to buy their allotments. There's 7 owners; they don't have to buy their allotments. So far, everybody's bought their allotments simply because it's the first set of allotments. I
You mean
anticipate everybody probably.
you mean every month?
Yep.
Yeah.
So everybody so far has bought them. I anticipate that probably for the first year or so, everybody's going to do that. And some people have some different concepts where they're sitting on them, putting together different collections and whatnot. But I anticipate pretty much everybody, buying their allotment each month. If not, I said it's fine. It's up to them. We don't sell them somewhere else. It's just, if they don't want to buy the 60 each month, they don't have to. It's their right in their contract they had. But yeah, everything's been delivered, and so far you've got there's 3 of the owners that are actively selling the product. The owner of 1 and 2, which was Alex Martinez, he's general manager at Main Street Cigars in New Jersey. He's been actively selling his. We actually did a launch party with him during essentially an NFT convention down in Miami. We did a launch thing with him down there, which was fun. So he's actively been selling them. Jack Schwartz has them available online as well. And then Sun Cigars, Ratul Shah, he's been selling his as well. So the next one to release, which is a big release. So the number one's really important, right? Because it's the first, and then the last. So you got 1 and 7. That all of them in between are special. Do not get me wrong, but who wants you don't want the second of something, technically, right? Like if there's a 1 of, you would like to have the first. Everybody wants the first Ferrari or wants this or whatever.
Nobody wants
so
the
number
Ricky
1.
Bobby.
Yeah, so there's a lot of anticipation with 1, a lot of anticipation with the rest of them too, obviously, because it's just so limited. But I think the next anticipated one, if people are curious what's going on with it, is the owner of number 7, which has been dubbed Lucky Number 7, and that's Cigars on the Avenue here in Winter Park, Florida. Their official launch of the Lucky Number 7 is March 2nd, and they're doing something quite impressive with it. So I'll get some pictures and things up because they're going to start marketing this in the next few weeks. So stay tuned on it, and we'll talk about it here on the show as it gets closer.
So theirs are not on sale yet.
No.
Okay.
So they've done a really interesting thing. They've sat on them. So by March, it'll been 6 months that they've sat on them for collecting them. And what they're doing is they've created a golden bar menu. It's called the Golden Menu, which has specialty cocktails that are made to be exclusively paired with the cigars. Now, you don't have to buy the cigar to enjoy the drinks, but they're inspired and intended to be paired with them. But
Right.
the inspiration is there, so you can. So they have a Golden Menu, which will be at their bar available all the time. That's coming in March as well. They've kind of rebranded part of their lounge as like the Lucky Number 7 lounge. They have this gigantic 6 foot by 5 foot logo with the Lucky Number 7 logo that they have. It's quite impressive what they've done. They've got this massive golden display. It's quite impressive. It's all LED lit, and in it there's a bottle of Micallef M. So they're doing a VIP event with 25 VIPs. The event's going to be 5 hours long, but the VIPs is 2 hours, and they're going to be eating golden covered Wagyu tomahawk beef. They're going to be having saffron mashed potatoes, which is the most expensive spice in the world, and they're doing jumbo shrimp cocktails with that. So there's going to be a dinner for the guests. Each guest is going to get an ounce of Micallef M, which is $600 an ounce, and they're also going to be getting one of the golden Lucky Number 7 cigars, getting the first in the world to have the opportunity to smoke the number 7s, and then they're going to be doing trying and sampling one of the cocktails from the Golden Menu, which is called the Golden Old Fashioned Number 7. So there's a lot of fun stuff around it. Then it'll be open to the public for the rest of the evening, and that will go on sale. And they got some other fun projects with it too. So they're really doing something unique with it. So I think for me, there's a lot of anticipation with it because they've really been the most dynamic with the ideas that they've had and how they're rolling it out. So working with everyone's had different concepts. Cigar Country There's another one of the owners, cigarcountry.com. They're our distributor in the Dominican Republic. The gentleman, Ruben, that owns that. His aren't for sale yet either, and he's got something very unique planned that I can't talk about because it hasn't been announced. But a lot of creativity going on with it, and it's been fun to watch people represent them in different ways. And so there's all different price points depending on which number they have and how they manage it. And it said it'll be interesting to see how each person's concept works and what direction this goes. And so we work very closely with them. So it has been fun.
Now, one of the owners was a private owner, if I remember correctly. Has that private owner bought all of his allotments too?
Yeah, the private owners. Yep, private owners have been involved in it. I do think at some point you're going to see in people's rotation or start seeing pictures. You'll start seeing pictures of people with different numbers. So I would be surprised if you didn't at some point in time start seeing. I can't remember which one I think he owes either 4 or 5.
I think he has number 4.
Yeah, so number 4. So I'd be surprised if you didn't see his out there in some capacity in the future, in rotation in people's either their personal collections or posting pictures and whatnot online. It seems like
is he a retailer or no? He's not a retailer.
No, he's a private owner, a consumer. And but when you have something unique and special like that, you kind of want to share it, right? You want people to enjoy it, which creates more excitement about what you have too.
Mm-hmm.
So if a few number 4s are out there, that's great. There's going to be collectors. I mean, people collect things. There's people that have their own favorite lucky number, and then it's a great cigar on top of that. And there's a lot of fun things going along with it at the same time. But I said I'm looking forward. So March 2nd is going to be the next retailer, not the next retailer, the next owner happens to be a retailer, is going to go live with that, and they got some really fun stuff going on.
There was a comment here. I heard they were bringing a live golden bull. I don't know. Maybe Don should look into that.
I have, inspired by Alex Martinez, number 1 and 2. When he was in Miami, he had a golden tuxedo jacket. I have a golden tuxedo jacket that I will be wearing that night to fit in, and I may be the one doing the cooking, so that Wagyu beef is going to be incredible.
Oh yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Garrett Robinson is here. Question: does Carney shave his armpits? I feel like he might. I think so. Garrett must be an LFD Discord
guy. Of course I do. I used to shave my head and everything else. I now have hair, but yeah, I used to be completely hairless, other than my arms and legs. So yeah, I mean, leave that to the imagination. But no, I grew up as an athlete. So when you're working out regularly and stuff, you get patchy hair. So like you'll see runners, like male runners, if they don't shave, like a lot of male runners do shave their legs, but if they don't, or there's a runner, you'll see like the back of their calves have no hair, their quads have no hair, the upper part of their arm hair doesn't grow right. So you either have like patches of hair or you get rid of this stuff. So the easiest thing to do is to get rid of it.
Yeah, I never forget years ago. When you were bald and clean shaved, your old Instagram pic, it was like a black and white photo, and you were like all shaved. And I remember sitting there one time looking at it, and I remember
all shaved.
I remember texting you, and I was like, you know what's funny? In that profile picture, you kind of look like the guy from Prometheus. You remember the guy, like the white, like creature, like the human, like dude?
Oh, you mean the movie?
Yeah, the movie. Yeah. And I was like,
I thought you were talking about the cigar,
the
accessory brand. I'm like, what dude from Prometheus?
No, the movie Prometheus. And it was funny because I was in Vegas at the trade show last year, and I was at a restaurant, and this guy comes in, and he's like on the other side of the dining room, and I like look over, and I almost did a double take, and I was like, and I remember texting you and be like, dude, I found your doppelganger. I thought that was you for a second. It was crazy. You really have changed. You put on the hair, you put on the scruff, and I think a lot of people would say it's a better look for you. Apparently, if I was to read these comments tonight, these guys they won't stop talking about you. They won't stop talking about how much they love you.
The thing I get the most is that I look younger. I look younger with the hair, and so I'll take that. I also ex-swimmer, zero leg gear. Yeah, exactly. Bikers too. Bikers, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I started using, I started
Rogaine?
using this exfoliating cream. Not cream, but it's like an exfoliating scrub, and it's charcoal and stem cells.
Stem cells.
Holy shit, that must be
It make me look.
expensive.
It's not crazy, but it wasn't cheap for what it was, I guess. And I'm not convinced how much stem cells in there. But I'm telling you, I've been noticing I've been getting baby smooth here.
Well, all you got to do is start, using that HGH, and it'll really do wonders for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till my mid-40s for that. So hey, it's up in the next 4 or 5 years.
I remember. I won't say who it was, but there was someone we know, someone me and Carney know, and we were talking about. I was like, man, that dude's looking even younger now than he did 20 years ago, and he was like, yeah, it's called HGH.
Yeah. When the further you get in life and the more financially well off you are, you have one more time to work out, 2 more financial freedom, and then with that financial freedom becomes the ability to utilize that financial freedom to do things that you couldn't afford when you were younger, and do them regularly. So yeah, you see these people in like 50 that start getting to look much better. One, they're taking better care of themselves, but I'm promising you, they're on some sort of testosterone treatment in their mid to late 50s, or they're on HGH or some combination of both. Like that actor J.K. Simmons, have you seen him recently?
Oh yeah, dude, he's ripped.
Dude, he's jacked. He's like, I don't know. I'm gonna look him up how old he is right now.
I'm gonna look him up.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, the guy from Farmers Insurance and J. Jonah Jameson from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he's
him.
68 years old, and he's doing overhead military presses with The Rock, and he's playing a shredded Santa Claus. I guess this is what it says.
Shredded
anyway,
Santa Claus.
so people are like, "Oh, he's working out. He's doing this." Okay, he is working out. He is eating well, but he's taking testosterone supplements, and he's taking some form of HGH. That just doesn't work out that way. You don't get that big at 68 without taking her. So, as my point is, it's heavily monitored and really safe, but still somewhat frowned upon. As soon as I start to really slow down, like feel it, I'm finding it. Trust me, I'm going to find it, and I'm going to do it at safe levels with a doctor. And I plan on being like 50% of what The Rock looks like.
So you're saying that another like 15 years or so, and we're going to see an even better looking Jon Carney.
Oh, I'm doing it 100% without question. If I make it that far, we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
J.K. Simmons is nearly 70, dude. Okay, I go online. If you're on here, Google J.K. Simmons. You don't even have to search anything. It pops up because it was just in Men's Health. He is jacked.
I just saw the picture of him freaking overhead pressing like 3 plates on there? I don't know how much those plates are rated at, but
hey, and I'm just gonna say I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two.
Damn.
For those of you that watch J.K. Simmons, you'll get that joke.
He is doing good. Let's take a quick break. Let's do our news. Our news segment is once again brought to you by Micallef Cigars. If you head over to MicallefCigars.com today, you can sign up to become an official ambassador. And while you're at it, head over to their Facebook group and sign up to be a Micallef ambassador on Facebook, where you can hang out and smoke with all your fellow Micallef ambassadors. Interesting news story came out today. This is one that we mentioned actually earlier. It is it's the announcement of an annual special release that many people probably heard of. United Cigars announces the EP Carrillo Independence Day Firecracker. This June, United Cigars will release the EP Carrillo Pledge Firecracker. Since 2010, United Cigars has collaborated annually with fellow cigar makers to release a limited edition firecracker commemorating Independence Day. The EP Carrillo Pledge is described as a zesty, spicy, woody cigar that tantalizes the consumer's palate. A cigar that has a lasting creamy finish with a rich aroma profile. Firecracker fans are in for a truly powerful smoking experience. This is a cigar that won Cigar of the Year at CA 2 years ago. Last year was Padron. The year before, I think, was the Pledge. Really interesting to see them to do a firecracker with EP Carrillo. That's going to be really interesting. Something different. If you ask me, it's not something I would have expected, but now that I see it, I'm really excited for this. I think this is going to be a truly a unique firecracker.
When I saw the announcement, I was surprised, and I was like, surprised in a way of like that's not what I would have guessed. And then second, when I got over that, which was very quickly after, I was like, that's a great idea. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a home run.
I feel like everyone had those feelings. Oh, EP Carrillo. Oh, EP Carrillo.
It's funny because he's also doing one of the limited releases for the Great Smoke too. So I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if maybe years ago this was more the case, but I feel like at least in the last handful of years, you haven't seen a lot of special kind of releases from them. It's just been kind of, regular stuff that they worked on. So like now you're starting to see some of these special exclusive projects coming out from them, and it's interesting. It really is.
You're right. They really haven't, with their brand, they haven't really tapped into those types of products. They've done unique limited edition things, but nothing really on the store level that I think it's that high profile by any means. They did do one of those. They did a limited edition Cuba Aliados, which was a different brand, which is that Oliva owned brand, which is now made by JRE. And that was a limited production run they did with that, but nothing with their own brand, with their name on it. That was something really unique that a store does. And there's very few things as unique as the Firecracker.
Yeah, I noticed that the last couple of years, and they used to do just strictly one, but now like the last couple of years they've done multiple variations. So I'd be interested to see.
Well, and you comment you put up there, I think is a main reason why you said Oliver's a rock star. It's not a coincidence that Oliver's involved with that company. They now have a new marketing director as well, and they're doing these things kind of coincide with all that. I mean, that's not a coincidence. Those are ideas that are fresh, new, different, that they're sitting down and taking a really successful project and making it even more well-known, worldwide. So it's, hats off to what they're doing over there at United for sure.
Yeah, they've had a killer year. They got our cigar of the year. Alfonso #4 was our cigar of the year. They got #1 on the half wheel list. They had I think another Firecracker on the half wheel list. They had the Red Anchor on our list. I believe they scored 2 cigars on Coop's list. And I'm sure there was more others, but
#1, limited release or special release.
I think Dojo had them as #1 luxury.
Luxury, yeah, that was it.
I think. I mean, they introduced a lot more lines this year. They first of all Selected in itself, which is Nelson Alfonso's brand. They expanded. They added the Alfonso, the Byron 1850. Which, John, I know you and I have talked about. We've both smoked that. That cigar is fantastic as well. Then you look at United. They added the Red Anchor. They added Yaya. They started doing distribution for Arnold Andre. They, their Firecrackers are always there. But, this is just another feather in the cap of some of the interesting things that they have been doing. And they seem to have a lot of momentum. And it just seems to keep on rolling.
Yeah, I agree. The Red Anchor, the brand, the packaging on it, the branding looks great. The cigar is excellent. I've smoked that several times over the last couple of years as they were working on that. That was a fun project to see come out and have it look and be the way it is. I think they do have a ton of momentum. And, what's interesting, this is probably something, this is probably the inner Coop in me, but that's something they've been trying to do, right? They've been trying to get that kind of momentum with the United lines, not just the Selected Tobacco lines, and they're really doing it. I mean, it's happening, and it's great to watch it. They really do have momentum, and it's gonna, they're making some moves. They really are. It's great. I like to see people be successful that deserve it and have great ideas. So it's great to see these people working hard and seeing the successes that they're having and collaborating together in a way to take great ideas and make them even better.
Definitely.
I'm excited to see what they do this year, after the year they had last year and everything that they've done, and now we're seeing one of the first things that they have planned for this year. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it's gonna be a fun. I know they're going to TPE, so I'm excited to see what we see at TPE, and then from there we got PCA in July. So definitely a lot to look forward to this year. One of the things I've been waiting for, because I never got to to smoke any of the original ones, but is there any possibility that maybe we may see a second LFD Firecracker someday? I never got to have the first ones.
You've never smoked one of those?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
That's one of the only.
Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future, it's something that we would do. We haven't. We've had talks about it. The first one we did was very successful. I think off the record, we accidentally doubled the production. So after it was sold, we had X number of thousands of them left, and we called them, and we're like, "Hey, we have more of these." And this was before they were doing that program, where you're starting to see these launch nationwide, which I think is excellent. But yeah, no, I mean, if it's something they want to sit down and talk to, we'd be certainly interested in talking about. So yeah, maybe in the future, it's not off the table by any means. But it was strong, man. It was very full bodied. I think it was the fullest bodied of all of the ones I've smoked so far, and that's what it was supposed to be. But it might have been a little too strong. But I still have a few left, so maybe this summer when I'm back up to the Northeast, I'll pull some out and smoke them.
When was was that one based off of the El Jocko size?
No, it was the double. It's double. It was a double Ligero, and we put, instead of putting, it's a tiny cigar, they're like this big. So
Yeah.
instead of putting traditional Ligero leaves in it, we put leaves that were even so like the crown, towards the crown of the plant.
Yeah.
The Corona, we put those leaves in it, so we didn't have to.
Oh wow.
We didn't have,
Jeez.
because if you have a bigger cigar and you put a littler leaf in it, it's just gonna be somewhere in the middle of a big cigar, So with a smaller size, we use the Corona of the plant, essentially the higher part of the Ligero, and it was quite aggressive.
Yeah, those are
The
some
other one that was
high
really
primings.
strong. Yeah, the other one that was really strong was Skip Martin's, the Roma Craft one that Skip and Mike Rosales did was
Yep.
full bodied. When those came out, they said you got to sit them because he said they were a little wet. I prefer my cigars a little more humid, so they're perfect for me. But they did have a lot of strength too. So those for me are the two strongest that I'd smoked. And the last, man, I don't think I've smoked the last two, but those were certainly the stronger of them that I'd had.
Christoph's was pretty good too. They had that pissed off Christoph blend. That had some good strength to it as well.
Omar DeFrias's was strong.
Yeah.
I expected that to be not as strong as it was when I first lit it up. That was aggressive. It was I don't know if you ever had this with a cigar. It was like top of your palate strong. Like at the second I puffed it, I felt it at the top of my mouth.
Right. Yeah, those Firecrackers are some pretty awesome cigars, and they did a Bandolero one last year in the Bandolero line, which was interesting. They did one with Artista Cigars with the Big Poppy. They did one with Nick Melillo, who was on a few weeks ago, with the Wise Man Maduro blend. And they did one with Nick Perdomo a few years ago. I think that was kind of based off of the 20th anniversary Sun-Grown blend. So lots of interesting ones.
I've never had a Firecracker.
You've never had one?
We don't get them up here, and yeah, they sell out so fast that even the people I know, they tend not to get them. So.
Oh, that's good. I have some. I think
I know you've got the Perdomo one because I've had a few of those.
I don't think I have any left. I think I finished them. I may have a couple. Loose ones kicking around. I'll have to look. I have half a box of the HVC Black Friday ones, which were pretty good. I could probably send you guys some of those too. Those are sitting in the humidor. But yeah, I mean, they do go quick. They're small cigars too, and it's just a box of 20. So I mean, it's
buy multiple boxes.
Yeah, and it's easy to kill those boxes. Those cigars are so small. I mean, you could smoke, 2 of them in a sitting. Even though they're strong, you could still smoke probably 2 of them at a time. But yeah, they do. They go quick. One of the things we wanted to talk about. Matt Ty is here as well. Matt said, "Who's the kid? I'm gonna need to see some ID." Mitchell's looking really young over there, apparently.
Yeah, you put the old guy back in the show. Everybody looks young.
Yeah, I know, right? You did us a favor.
I'm gonna light up a second cigar. I'm gonna forego the Cameroon cabinet, and I'm gonna smoke this. I was given it today. I'm gonna smoke the Perdomo Sun-Grown 10th Anniversary Robusto.
Nice.
Nice.
You know, Perdomo's another one that we got our eye on this year. Last year they were supposed to release their 30th anniversary to coincide with the Perdomo 30 years in business. Unfortunately, as Nick told us at the trade show in July, there was some production delays, not with the cigars. Like the cigars are actually ready, and he decided to let them to continue aging and resting in the aging room because some of their packaging stuff was delayed. So it sounds like we're going to maybe hear more about that maybe at TPE next month. I'll have to see. We'll find out when we get there. But I think we might hear about it then and maybe see it released sometime later in the year. But that's another one. That's a new Perdomo. You know, last time Perdomo put out a cigar, they put out the cigar Jon's smoking as well as its Maduro counterpart. And those cigars, they performed really well. They ranked on a lot of lists. So especially the Maduro. I think the Maduro got some high-ranking awards, a couple of number ones. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this year. They've been a little quiet the last year, but I think the next cigar will bring them back and make some more noise again. So looking forward to that. Now, one of the things I had on the list tonight after getting caught up with Jon was, you know, Jon and I talk a lot about different things. We talk a lot about football and stuff. Anyone who follows football or at least knows who Joe Burrow is, you know Joe Burrow smokes a cigar after every win, right? So we started talking about, you know, people smoking cigars for celebrations and, you know, why that's such an important thing. And I think that recently, and Jon actually said this first, so, and I'll let him touch on this as well, but, you know, we're seeing some more celebrities smoking cigars in celebration. You're seeing it take off in football a lot more. You know, with Alabama and Tennessee, you see Joe Burrow doing it. I think it's good. I think it's bringing a lot more attention back to cigars. You want to talk about maybe non-athletes, but you see Guy Fieri. Everything that Espinosa has done with Knuckle Sandwich has been huge this year. That has been out of celebrity cigars. And Jon, I'll let you touch on this as well because you've been in the industry a lot longer than both of us. So you've seen more. But generally, the feedback on celebrity cigars is not great. They don't tend to get the buzz that people would think they would. But I'll tell you, that Knuckle Sandwich at Espinosa, I mean, I can't go anywhere or any conversation without hearing that cigar come up. I mean, it is on fire right now.
So, you know, a thing that's this actually just popped up today on social media. So Espinosa has a sales meeting going on right now. And the thing that's been different with what Eric and the Espinosa team has done with Guy has been that it wasn't just focused on let's release a cigar, you're a celebrity, and we'll do events and go everywhere around the country and let everybody meet you type of a thing, right? So, like, I'll use, for example, like Ray Lewis. His cigar did well, don't get me wrong, they probably sold millions of the things, but it doesn't have a holding pattern. You know, it doesn't have a part where it's like, what's your everyday go-to cigar? You know, what do you smoke? I smoked a Ray Lewis. Like, it's not that, nobody says that.
Right.
But that was really you know, I'm not saying he wasn't involved in the blends. I'm not saying he didn't sample things and pick what he wanted and different things like that. But he wasn't really involved in it other than being Ray Lewis, right? And it was Rocky Patel and Ray Lewis, and it was a big success. But Eric Espinosa's sales team did like the day at Guy's house and did lunch, smoked cigars, talked about the product. I mean, they posted pictures of it online. If you follow anybody on social media that's involved with Espinosa, you know that they were down there. And that's a big difference, man. And that has a big impact on how the people selling it are going to sell it and how the people that are consuming it are going to consume it. And then it also shows that it's a different mentality with the manufacturer, that person's really involved in this process and is really enjoying of it and living it the same way that the people selling it and smoking it are. So that's the big difference to me. Is it's obvious that he's involved in it, right? And it's not just Guy Fieri and he's collecting a royalty off of it because of who he is. It's, you know, he's collecting off what he's collecting off it, and he's involved, regularly involved. You know, I almost said something I'm not supposed to say. If I can't say it yet.
Probably
I
one
catch
for me.
myself.
Probably one of the only guys like that if you ever see his interviews or see him outside of the industry stuff, like you said, pictures of the sales team. Half the time he's got a friggin' cigar in his hand, right? And one of the only people that have come from outside the industry in that is like that. That is not necessarily purposefully promoting it, but it's just like he doesn't have to. It's just part of who he is and what he does. So he doesn't even have to try.
It's really part of what he's doing, and that's cool. And I think that's why he's having success with it. I also think it's a really nice cigar. And
Great cigar.
They're hitting a home run with it, and they're doing it the right way. It hasn't been buy 100 boxes and Guy Fieri shows up. It's been, hey, this cigar is really good. It's just Guy Fieri's knuckle sandwich. It doesn't say Guy Fieri all over the thing. It's really a product that's about the cigar first. Obviously, it's well known that he's involved in it, but the retailers that are carrying it and doing well with it probably haven't even seen Guy, which I don't think is a bad thing. So when he does show up, people are showing up because they like the cigars and they want to meet him. Instead of, hey, I want to go meet said celebrity and then smoke their cigars, because I'm there to meet him or I want access to him. This has been, hey, I'm smoking it. I like it. Now they're going to do an event. And it may just be an Espinosa event that does well. And then if Guy Fieri happens to be there, it'll be extra. I'm just impressed. They're doing it differently. And, we'll see how long it continues on. But as of right now, the man seems involved.
Well, apparently, Garrett Robinson says we're pronouncing it wrong. It's Fieri.
Well, we can pronounce it however we want, because I'm not able to put together that many I's and R's and then get T out of it. So in where I come from, in French, Canadian, Irish, there's no R's don't pronounce as T's.
Interesting response. Interesting response.
Garrett.
Wow.
Garrett, go shave your legs, Garrett.
Oh man, Garrett.
Yeah, go swimming.
Garrett, you gotta let him do you dirty. Matt Ty is watching as well. This is a wonderful thing for the cigar culture and the cigar industry. He's a mainstream rock star, and it helps that he's also a great dude. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this the other day. I mean, and I've had this conversation with a few other people, even with Hector Espinosa, Hector Alfonso from Espinosa. He has been. He has been great. He's been great for them. He's been great for the industry. I agree with everything John said. The way it's also been marketed has been done extremely well. And to the events that guy has shown up for, he was at Great Smoke. I think he was at PCA. He's done some private stuff at shops. From everything I've heard, it's always gone well. It's always been, well received. Obviously, he's a popular guy. Everybody wants to know him. The one thing that someone pointed out to me is, a lot of times you see, like you mentioned, John, Ray Lewis. You see the Carl Malone from La Aurora. You get the Big Papi, right? Well, someone mentioned to me, like, the one thing about guy, you see a lot of these sports figures. Like, there was the who was the guy from the Yankees years ago? Gary
Sheffield.
Yeah, Gary Sheffield had one. I think his was Rocky Patel as well. A lot of them sports guys, right? The one interesting thing about Guy is he's someone that you don't have to know sports to know. I mean, your mother knows who he is, your sister knows who he is, kids know who he is. Like, everyone knows who Guy is. So you have a much more recognizable face, too. Guy who's on TV everywhere all the time. Not just if you're watching a game and you know about sports. I mean, he's a guy that you can't like not run into. So everyone knows who he is. And it's been great.
That's right. He is a mainstream rock star. I see the comment there. I mean, he really is. He's known for his cooking, but he became a celebrity because of him, who he is. Like, he kind of just lived it and became it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just leaned in and embraced it.
And I think even like the fact that he came from the food industry, like I'm sure he had some form of input on the cigar. Like, you're trusting his palate. Like, he knows food. He can cook food. And I think that is a really big distinguishing factor. Like you said, a lot of these guys coming from sports, they just, maybe like cigars here and there, and maybe they like some good stuff. But, like, that guy is going to have a good palate. And that he's going to put something out there flavorful. It's going to be flavorful.
Yeah, and he had premium cigar friends, too. Him and Matt Booth are really close.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
They're like family. And he had connections with other people in the industry. So, when one of the shows we were on one time, we were talking, but it might have been on here, and we were talking with, I think it was talking to Herklotz about it, and somebody's like, oh, it's interesting that they went and did a cigar. He did a cigar with Eric Espinosa, and so since he's such good friends with Matt Booth, maybe they would collaborate or do something together. And I said, he and Matt are really close, so I'm sure in discussions that they were having and what Guy was looking to do, that Matt probably gave him some advice, and so did other people. And for him to have made that decision, it was something that fit everything that he envisioned and how his involvement wanted to be. And now that we're watching it, it's becoming a reality of, he picked Eric because of the flexibility he has and the opportunities that he has. So it's really, it wasn't just a, hey, I'm going to get into this. He had some, he had guidance and history behind it. Get it? Guidance.
Matt Ty said, the more that non-smokers in the real world see big-time celebrities and athletes enjoy cigars, that is a great thing for all of us. Of course, it helps when they're good people, which is true. There's a lot of non-smokers out there that despise smokers. But, like Matt said, hopefully, it's good people. But no, it's right. It brings more recognition to our industry. And, again, I kind of double back to the Joe Burrow discussion that John and I had the other day. I mean, it's great, and he's good for the industry. And, the bigger that kid becomes a star, especially if he wins a Super Bowl and, he really becomes a big star in the NFL and he keeps that whole thing going. I mean, that's just another person out there that makes a big deal about smoking the cigar. It's become the thing now. Every time that the Bengals win, it's like, all right, well, what cigar is Joe smoking? It's now a thing. And it's a good thing. It brings more attention to, the premium cigars. And I was actually going to say, does anyone know what he smoked after the divisional win? Because I didn't see anything.
He was
in the comments.
So after one of the games, I didn't see that, but I know most recently, like at the end of the season, he was handing out Cohibas.
Yeah, he had Cohiba 55s, I believe.
Yeah.
And then,
I don't know.
After that, was it after that game? It wasn't this past weekend, I don't think. Or one of the games recently, I texted you. They had the football with LFD cigars on national TV. LFD went national. They were prime time.
I don't know. That's the second time we've been featured like that. The first time was our friends at R&R Cigars in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He somehow got the cigars into the commentator's booth, and then Molly McGrath and Todd McShay had the special football editions on the sidelines. They weren't lit up, but they had them in their mouths at the end of the game talking about it, and then he was featured with a box of his cigars and a box of our special football editions, Reagan. That was the first time, and that was huge. And then, I kind of knew that one was going to maybe go down because I knew I was there for the game, and I knew what he had planned. I didn't know if he was going to pull it off, but he did. But the second time was this, just a couple weeks ago, and I still don't know who set that up, but it was Double Ajero and Reserva Specials in a cigar lounge, a cigar humidor of some kind, featuring the player of the game ball. And that was awesome. I got tons of texts on that. I still, if anybody's watching that knows who did that, please step forward. But if not, we appreciate your silent gesture.
Yeah, that was cool. That was definitely the hub of the game, more so with the cigar people. I know more people talked about that than they did about the actual game. Did you guys see that LFD was on TV? I'm like, I know, I saw it. So yeah, that was cool to see. But again, that's just another thing that it's nice to see the promotion of cigars and in the celebratory aspect, which has become more popular, especially within football. Recently, the last few years, the World Series winners I know have gone out of their way to make more of a point. I know when the Braves won the World Series a few years ago, they were on the field and there was a lot of pictures and stuff of them handing out. They had some boxes of Padron. They were all smoking Padrones after they won the World Series, and I know that was all over social media. That was all over the news. So it's good to see that. More and more of that celebration with the athletes really, in a way, promoting premium cigars, which is good. And I hope it continues. I hope there's more and more of it. I mean, you had the 90s when the Bulls were, the kings of the NBA, and of course, you had Jordan, always had a cigar in his mouth after all the wins and, the NBA Finals championships, and you had all the players really smoking cigars after those wins. And, of course, that was during the boom period. But it's nice. It's nice to see more and more of that. And I feel like I've seen more of that in the last year and a half than I have, in the few years before that. Just really, really taken off. So I wanted to bring that up because it's been a topic, and especially with LFD making primetime. I mean, how can you not bring that up with Jon? You know what I mean? Let's let him
Exactly.
let him have his moment. LFD. It could have been any brand, but it was LFD.
Well, they make the football cigar, right? I had a question, Jon. Did you have when your child was born? Did you have a specific cigar you wanted to smoke? And I know some people do this where they'll put aside like a box and say, I'm gonna wait till my kid is X age and have this aside for them so that I can smoke it either every year they have their birthday now, or when they're of age, have it with them for every year. Did you do anything celebratory that way? And I know Matt's got one on the way. And for me, I actually didn't get to do anything special like that, and I don't have a box put away. But I might closer to kind of like the 10 or 12 year mark. But we'll see. Put something away.
So there's a couple cool things that one of them was recommended to me that I haven't done yet, but I need to do. Was a friend of mine told me, as actually a retail friend of mine out in Texas, he had told me to, he's like, you're a big wine drinker. And I'm like, yeah. He said, what you need to do is buy a case of your favorite wine from the vintage year, from the year your child was born.
Yeah, I was going to get a box date.
Yeah, and it's like, that's a great idea. I'm like, that's a great idea. Get like, my daughter's born in 21, so get like a 2021 vintage of my favorite wine, and then save that for like their 21st birthday, or have one on their 21st birthday, then other special events, wedding, engagement, things like that. So I'm gonna do that. But Mitchell doesn't know what I did for a cigar, does he, Matt?
I don't think he does. I know the answer to that question.
So I not only we have a special cigar that was set aside for it. I had a special cigar made.
Oh yeah,
so
that's right. Now I heard about
special
this.
Special sides, special boxes, special bands. It's a pink box. It's called the Jon Carney. It was a cigars made just for me. A lot of I did share it with a lot of people, but now I'm pretty much done sharing it because I can get more of them, but I save them for special occasions like my birthday, her birthday, and I do have some of the originals that I'm going to save until she's old enough to enjoy one with us. And so I have like they're all the same exact cigars, but I have like 10 left from the original box. But I have plenty of those. I just got another like 100 3 or 4 months ago, and so I do hand them out occasionally as something special when I'm around. But that was really cool because the band's pink. It's got pink foil on it. I mean, it was something really special. And the reason I wanted to do that, I was talking to Lito about it before my daughter was born. I was like, hey, what gave me not just the idea, because obviously you have the idea to do it, but Terrence Riley did something for his birthday. It was called the TR40, and it had a little white band on it and just plain lettering. It said TR40, which I thought was great. And to this day, I still haven't smoked one. But if Terrence is watching, I'll make him feel bad. But I saw it and I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm like, but I want something special. Like I want, like, not just that's special. Don't get me wrong, but I want something that's really special. Like I want I said to Lito, I want an LFD product that nobody else can get, just me. I go, and something special like a pink box, and I go because it's a girl and to represent her, and I want her name on it and this and that. And I sent them down a couple design ideas. Like, yeah, absolutely no problem. Like we'll 100% do that. That's like, that would be great. We'd appreciate that. We'd be honored to. So that was really fun to do something that was, I said, I want the LFD logo on it. I wanted an LFD branded product, and that was great. And it was a nice little perk of a job.
Yeah, of course. Matt, do you have any plans to put something aside, or any celebratory cigar you plan on lighting up when the time comes?
I actually haven't thought about it yet, to be honest with you. I mean, we're still early, so I haven't really thought about it, but I'm sure I'll come up with something by the time the baby comes. Garrett said, I did opus for each of my kids to smoke with them when on their 18th, if they so choose, which is really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, really nice.
Opus is a great celebratory cigar for sure.
Perfect choice. Perfect choice.
Yeah.
What John did was cool too, and John's obviously is more unique to them too. So that's really special to have. And someday when she's old enough and she can smoke them, she understands like the significance of that. That'll be cool too. Like, you had a cigar made just for me? Wow. Hopefully she's into it. If not, it's like, yeah, I don't really like cigars. Like, that's cool. And you'll be like,
It doesn't matter. I'm into it, so it's cool.
you wait all those years, and then you're like, I waited all this time, and you don't even care. No, I'm sure she will. It'll be really cool.
You're the only one that matters, John.
Yeah, John. It was all your creativity. That's what matters. But that's a lot of what we wanted to cover here tonight on the show. Unless anyone else has anything to add.
I just wanted to say I lit up. What was this? Our number
4.
4 cigar of the year.
Number 4.
It's Oro Tercera Maduro.
Yep.
Man, this thing is so good. Chocolatey, cocoa, nice bit of kind of like that dark fruit sweetness, like surprising amount of sweetness off this thing. I love it, and yeah, so super good, smoking great.
One of the things we need to actually, you know what? It's funny. I just remembered this, and John's here, you're here, we're all here, so we're going to talk about this really quick because I had to listen to this from John the next day. You know, it's funny when the list came out, I got the messages from, oh my God, thank you for this, blah, 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 and then John texted me. Did you guys know that it's not broadleaf on that cigar? That's what he said to me. Apparently we got it wrong, but in our defense, and I didn't ask John for the information. I did my own research on it when I put the list together, so I didn't ask him. If I did, he probably would have told me, but I mean, I didn't think. And then after he said it, I went around and I looked, and everyone had it listed as broadleaf, but it's not. It's San Andreas, right, John?
No, it's not.
What is it?
What is it?
What's the wrapper on it?
It's Nicaraguan sun-grown.
Ah.
Really?
Yeah, it's not.
This
yeah.
is a Nicaraguan sun-grown Maduro.
And you know what was funny, Mitchell, was the thing that brought it up was I was watching the reveal show, and you were talking, and I text Matt like laughing the next day. I was like, it's funny when Mitchell was talking about it because you said to him, he said to you, he was talking about the blend, and he said Connecticut broadleaf, and you were like, wow, that's really interesting because I'm not getting a lot of broadleaf flavors out of this.
It's true.
You described it as like how like someone would describe like a Nicaraguan sun-grown style wrapper. Like what
it makes
you were getting
sense
for flavor profiles was that, yeah. So it was funny because I watched probably about a half hour of the show, and I tuned in right. I happened to tune in right when you guys just started that. And I was laughing. That's what I said to Matt. I said, it was funny because it's not broadleaf. I go, and then Mitchell like nailed it, and he didn't even know it. But it is everywhere it's listed as broadleafed, and I don't know how that happened. It might have been through an initial. It might have been through when it was originally. So this has been the same blend for like 5 years now since we've been doing that 50th anniversary. So this 55th year is the 55th year of the TA is this year, which is the Emerald anniversary. So we did that for the Golden. So it must have been, I said once on a piece of paper or something to the TAA. It had to have been that because there's no way that people would just randomly guess broadleaf. It had to have been said at some point in time, and I just don't know where it was. And then it got out there, so I was just like, all right, hey, we don't have it listed anywhere on our website, so let it be what it is. But yeah, it was funny during the show. You nailed it, and I'm like, oh, it's so funny. You're like, I'm not really getting traditional broadleaf off it. You described the flavor profile, and I'm like, yeah, because it's Nicaraguan sun-grown.
Yeah, man. I was so surprised. I was like, when we came out with that, I was like, I don't know. I'm like, it doesn't have that classic. Yeah,
I was skeptical.
And
It's
I
not
was classic.
it's not as sweet.
Yeah,
No,
it's not
it
as
is
sweet.
not as sweet.
Yeah,
This has nice
not
sweetness,
at all,
but it's not the same kind of sweetness as a broadleaf. This is more of like a fruit-like sweetness with that kind of red pepper in the background. Whereas with broadleaf, I get a chocolatey like sweetness. The chocolate on this is more like I don't even know, not a broadleaf chocolate.
It's more like cocoa powder to me.
It's more like cocoa powder, yeah.
Powder.
Like raw cocoa,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's which I definitely get a lot more off of those sun-grown Nicaraguan Yeah, that I'm
I
glad
didn't
I'm glad I wasn't going crazy. I was like, man, I don't know, man. Like, is my palate shocked? Because like this does not taste like, I smoke a lot of Micaritas. I smoke a lot of,
Yeah.
you
No, you
know,
nailed it.
even
You nailed it.
yeah.
And it's
So
funny because I mean I was like
the cigar gear.
I have a little bit of a question there, but I looked it up everywhere and I'm like, no, everyone says it's broadleaf, so I'm like, all right, maybe I don't know. I'm like, I was a little perplexed, but I didn't think anything of it. And I just moved on, and then
Yeah.
when John told me, I was like, really? Because like that's what everyone said it was. But I'm like, I mean, I trust what he says, and he works for the fucking company, so.
Yeah.
But no,
This gear.
Garrett, he's spoken the 2021 TAA LFD Maduro. I'm smoking the natural. He has the Maduro.
50th Tercera.
Yep. And this year, the 2022s have just shipped, and this year you guys are also doing a natural and Maduro, same blend, but it's a Solomon.
Yeah, and we're doing a few TAA events with them as well this year. We 6-7 years ago we did about 60 TAA events around the country. We're not going to do that many, but I've got about 10 TAA events lined up for this year where we're going to do a little sit down high end tasting with small groups like 20 people. So 20 people get one of each cigar. They smoke at 2 different cocktails, and that starts tomorrow. So I've got one that's going on tomorrow at Cigars on the Avenue here. We're going to be doing some with Corona this year too. We've got some fun stuff lined up with them on top of that. So we're gonna be doing some fun things with the TAA exclusives that came out late last year, early this year, that are still shipping. And then our new TAA coming out is going to be something really special too. And I said this is the last year of the 50th anniversary concept, so it'll be something entirely different. But yeah, you'll start to see us out there in some more retail stores, and my sales guys too are going to be doing some of their own little TAA tastings as well. It's just their special cigar, and if they're in those shops, you might as well sit down and enjoy it and highlight it a little bit. So we make an effort to try to work with those retail partners that have those there and really present them, and they are really good cigars. So it's the presentation of it's beautiful, the packaging is beautiful, so it's a really elegant thing to do in like an evening with a small group to sit down and have something special together.
Now, you mentioned the Emerald anniversary, so are these ones going to be Emerald themed for 2023?
You can neither confirm nor deny.
All right. Well, I'm going to take that as a yes because you already kind of slipped up and mentioned the Emerald, so I'm going to assume that's what you're going with. But that'll be cool. That'll be exciting. I'm envisioning what that could look like, and that would be really cool. So, no, that's really awesome. And I noticed on the Solomons, so you guys went to a 10 count for these ones as well.
Yeah, Solomons tend to be a higher price point.
Yeah.
These cigars retail between 35 and $40. So we went to a little smaller box count on it.
So
Yeah, it's a more accessible box size for sure.
I had a question on some of these too. It's like even like on the chisels, like after visiting a factory and kind of seeing a little bit more of what kind of goes on and some of the specifics when it comes to the people in the rolling room. And I know LFD is a smaller factory than some of the ones I've seen, but in your factory, is there only like a small handful of people that roll the chisels and then like 1 or 2 people that roll the Solomons and so forth?
Yeah, there is. There's a limited group. I don't know the exact numbers. I'll tell you, on the Andalusian Bull, we have 6 rollers that roll those. And then on the Andalusian Bull, the Goldens, there's only 2 that do the whole process. So our top pair are the only ones that touch those cigars.
One for the bunch and one for the wrap.
Essentially,
yeah.
And so that's the most limited, the most limited impact in terms of staffing that we have on it. Where there's just such a small group, and then Lito personally himself on those NFTs inspects the tobaccos, make sure they're picking the top 1% of wrapper, and you really want to have a beautiful wrapper to it. So that for us is our premier pair that rolls that, and they're involved in regular bulls as well because there's obviously not many of those being made. But the Andalusian bulls are a select pair. Same thing with the chisels. There's a select group that's able to do that.
And the person who does the Solomon Unicos with all of that real nice ornate design, is that one person?
Yep. No, there's 2 of them. There's
actually
two of them that do those now. Yep.
Oh, okay.
And one of them's a lady, so we have a man and a woman that both do those.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I
Nice.
didn't really. I figured after we went to the Fuente factory and we saw they obviously everyone knows they have some very special, unique vitolas that they make at that factory, and I was thinking about you guys as well, and I know you have some of that kind of stuff too, and I was only assuming like there's probably only a very small select few who do some of those, less common stuff, the specialty projects that you guys have, because that seems to be what other factories have done, so that's what kind of piqued my interest on it. But anyways, I think that's going to be the show for tonight. Thank you both for being here. John, it was great to have you back. I'm really excited to have you on the show. It was a great time. A lot to catch up on, but I think we covered all of it. Mitchell, once again, you have joined on the show. I think this is going to be your permanent home, so it's great to have you here. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you very much. Thank you for being here with us. If you're listening later, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all of our social media platforms, our YouTube channel, Rumble, as well as everywhere you can find your podcasts on all the podcast apps, Apple, Google, etc. So thank you guys all for supporting the show and being here with us, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Have a good night.